Welcome back to our coverage from Parliament on the event of the State of the Nation address, the ultimate one for the sixth administration. To my left is Matthew Parks, who is the Parliamentary Coordinator for Cosatu. Sir, thank you for your time and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Sure, thank you for having us.
The new rules that have been adopted, who some see as an attempt to silence the EFF, again, whom some people view, or well, at least they champion themselves as the mouthpiece for the men on the street. What's your take on the new rules?
So, look, we're glad Parliament has adopted the new rules. Parliament belongs to all South Africans. So the EFF does represent a constituency, but so do the other 12 parties within Parliament. They should respect the rules of democracy, but it's not acceptable that the entire nation is watching the State of the Nation address. They expect to hear from the president they elected to office, to hear from government, what is it doing to address the issues, and then to be disrupted by a rowdy hooligan element which is determined to undermine government, to determine not to allow the president to speak. So I think for us, it's long overdue the Parliament exercise its authority. We should not be condemning hooliganism in society, yet we condone it in Parliament. So if the EFF wants to attend Parliament, the rules are quite simple. They're simply to be an adult, to accept the common etiquette of life, decent manners, and so on. The EFF has its space to make its noise in Parliament, like any other party. We don't have to agree with each other, that's fine. But certain rules are required if we want to function in society. But we have a real problem of criminality, of hooliganism in society. We have a problem with people who don't respect women, heavy levels of violence, alcohol abuse. All of these are elements of hooliganism. Yet somehow in the highest authority of the country, where people's elected representatives sit, we want to condone that. And I think for us it's long overdue Parliament just ensure the rule of law. Because how will society take government seriously if government can't behave properly? How will we take parliamentarians seriously if they can't just behave like normal adults? I think for us it's positive. The EFF will be there, minus 6 MPs, and we hope they will behave and respect that this is what society wants. Society wants to hear from the president how is he addressing their concerns.
Speaking of the problems that we have in this country, one of the major ones is unemployment. What, in your view, would be a successful speech by the president? What sort of barometer? What do you expect him to say for you as Cosatu to say, well, there is still hope, or, this is it, we were giving up.
Yeah. Look, for us as Cosatu, unemployment is our number one crisis. You can't sustain a society with 4 out of 10 South Africans. They can't find a job. 6 out of 10 young people can't find work. It's a crisis, and everything of government has to be focused on how to reduce unemployment. Otherwise, everything else we achieve will be meaningless. But we have also wanted to say we acknowledge progress that has been made. When we had the State of the Nation address last year, unemployment was at 46%, very scary level. We had lost 2 million jobs during COVID. We've now recovered those jobs, and unemployment has fallen by 5% over the past year. We can't celebrate 41% unemployment, but let's acknowledge progress, and if we can maintain that level of decreasing unemployment by 5% a year, we will turn the tide. But what we want to hear from the president is specific interventions. So can we extend the presidential employment program to accommodate 1 million young people, help them get in the labor market, earn a salary, get skills, confidence, and so forth? Can we increase the SOT grant to at least accommodate the inflation erosion, food poverty line, and link its participants to skills and employment opportunities? But we must also address the logistical obstacles to growing the economy. So number one is Eskom. We've seen good progress in Eskom to reduce load shedding from 12 hours a day last year to about 2 hours a day today. Not out of the woods. Eskom's still in a very, very fragile state. But can we give more support to Eskom to ensure we get out of load shedding permanently this year? Transnet right now is a major obstacle. It's suffocating the mining and manufacturing agricultural industry, posing a threat to thousands of jobs in those industries. We need to really hear from the president very decisive interventions and clear timeframes, not over 2 years, but over the next few months, to get the queues of the ports ended, but also to make sure our railway network is safe, so farmers, the mining companies, the manufacturing industry can get the exports to their products to the destination in time. It also means that government has to deal with the issue of corruption, which bleeds the state. We've got to fix local government, especially in rural towns, which is collapsing. So there's quite a few issues, but if we can address the few big impact items, Transnet, the Presidential Employment Program, Eskom, the SARS, corruption, we can turn things around.
Are you confident that the programs that are in place right now to address those problems are working? Because the shipping industry, the farmers here in the Eastern Cape don't seem to think that Transnet, there's any hope to solve the problems of logistics, particularly where Transnet is concerned.
It's a mixed bag. So on the unemployment level, good progress reducing unemployment. As commentators of energy, load shedding, we've seen progress, but again, we're not out of the woods yet. They're still very, very fragile. We need to do more. The Transnet right now for us is the most scary issue because we've seen the impacts of possibly losing 30,000 jobs in the mining sector. The impact we're seeing in clothing factories, other factories. It's a real crisis. We don't have a matter of 2 years to turn Transnet around. We think we've got a matter of a few months, otherwise we're going to bleed heavily. The revenue shortfall we saw last November, 55 billion rand, that is purely because of the Transnet chaos. So we have seen some initial progress in reducing the shipping backlog at Cape Town Harbour, Durban Harbour over the past 2 months. We're not convinced yet, but we're hopeful that we're beginning to turn things around. We've seen the bringing of new cranes, of ordering new tugboats, etc. We hope that will give some relief. But some of it is also much deeper than that. It needs, to expand the ports and so forth, to modernize them. Look, it's a mess, but I think the fact that we managed to turn the tide on the electricity front gives hope that if government is serious, if it's focused, if it gives all the resources, all the interventions, we can turn it around, but we don't have the luxury of time. Transnet's got to be the major item of today's SONA.
You're one of the few people I've spoken to today who seem to think there is hope. In any case, this is the last SONA for President Ramaphosa, and some people hope that it's the last one for him altogether. The last 5 years, just in summary, if you were to rate this administration, what's your feeling in terms of progress?
So look, I think one is to be fair to the president. He inherited a mess. He inherited a state riddled and decimated by state capture and corruption. Within a year, we went into COVID-19. We had a lockdown, the entire nation. He managed the pandemic very well, both on the health and safety front. Our loss of life was far less than many industrialized countries. The amount of social relief we provided for society was much more significant than many other better resourced countries. He's managed to introduce a minimum wage when he became president, which has increased by almost 40% from 20 rand to 27 rand and 58 cents. And for domestic workers, it's gone from 15 rand to, again, 27 rand. So that's a positive achievement. On the load shedding front, we've seen real progress since the collapse last year. He's managed to move some of the most compromised and corrupt characters from the cabinet, from the state. Again, more progress needs to be made. So many fronts he's done well. We now have a two-part pension relief bill in Parliament, which is going to give relief to millions of highly indebted workers to have access early to the pension funds. So those are quite a few things he managed to pilot, a national health insurance bill and so forth. I think also at a personal level, he's been the most accessible president we've had. He's always been available to engage with workers, with Cosatu, with unions, to listen to us, what are our proposals. So many of our proposals we've raised with him about releasing the unemployment, 64 billion rand for the unemployment insurance fund during COVID-19 to help 5.7 million workers. He agreed to it, he did it. The SOD grant, he did it. And I think that's what we want. We want a president who's willing to be humble, to listen, where he makes mistakes, to admit them, not to be arrogant, because I think he also appreciates he needs business, he needs labor, he needs society to assist, because our challenges are that great.
Sir, thank you very much for your time, and all the best for this evening. That was Matthew Parks, the Parliamentary Coordinator for Cosatu. On the whole, very, happy and confident, and still has hope for this administration that is whose term is ending.